Sounds like a new noise. We got new noises? Okay, today is the 7th of July, 1994. And we're sitting here in the living room of the house interviewing Lawrence McCain. When were you born?
When was I born? 1910,
What day?
December the 27th,
And where?
Freedom, Nebraska.
Where's that?
Well, you know where McCook is? It's north and east of there.
Is it still there?
Huh?
Is there still a place called Freedom?
No, gone.
It's a ghost town?
Ghost, ain't no ghosts there.
Who were your mother and father?
Alonzo McCain and Lily Housley.
And do you have any idea why they named you Lawrence?
Well, no, I don't.
Or
But the Elliott was granddad McCain. But the Lawrence, I don't know where that come from.
what kind of a house did your mom and dad live in when you were born?
Sod house.
And how long did you live there?
I don't know. No idea how long I lived there.
Were they still living in that house when you came to Tecumseh?
When what?
Were they still living in that same house when you came to Tecumseh?
Oh no. They didn't live there in that sod house only. Probably a year.
So soon after you were born,
Yeah.
they moved?
I moved to Bartley, and he worked for I don't know what that fellow's name was he worked for.
What kind of work did Grandpa do?
Just farm work. And then during harvest he run thrash machine.
He used to carry mail at one time, didn't he? Was he a mail?
1926 when he started, after he quit farming, when he carried mail. 1926 when he started carrying mail.
You were about 16 years old then.
Yeah. Carried it 4 years. Then somebody outbid him. Bid under him, rather.
What was it, a contract type
Yeah.
of thing? That's kind of different from the way they do it. And he probably had to provide his own truck and
Yeah.
everything. After he lost the bid on the mail, what did he do then?
Drove a truck for the Washington lumberyard, hauling gravel and
Where was that lumberyard?
Bartley.
In Bartley. So you were living at Bartley all this time that he was carrying the mail? And
Hey, that's when he moved to Bartley in 1926 when he started carrying mail. Otherwise, we lived south of Stockville on a farm for well, all the time I was going to school.
okay.
I think I was 7 years old when we moved there on that farm.
That wasn't the same farm that Grandpa Hasley had, was it?
No, we 5 miles north of Granddad's and a mile west.
What kind of crops did they raise out there?
Corn and wheat.
Was there any irrigation
No,
in those days? It was all dry
not
land.
that time. There was no irrigation out there, period. Only down on the Republican River around Bartlett and Indianola and down through there was some irrigation, but
What kind of nicknames did they give you when you were a little boy?
when I was little, I don't know if I had any when I was little. After I,
How about when you got older?
well, when I moved to Bartlett, they started calling me Philip.
Why did they call you Philip?
I don't know.
Any other nicknames you had?
Well, a lot of people call me Larry, and some of them just Mac.
When you were living out on the farm, what kind of chores did you have to do?
Well, when I was on the farm, when I was under, after I got big enough to, I carried in wood and stuff when I was little, but then I got old enough to milk, had to milk the cows and fed them.
Do you remember how many cows you had to milk?
I don't know, 4 or 5 we milked. But whenever we milked, most every dad and went and helped milk them.
Any other chores you had around the house?
Well, after I got about 12 years old, I worked out even cultivated corn, mowed hay, and
So you had to drive a tractor.
no, horses. No tractor back then.
Did Grandpa ever have a tractor when he was farming out there?
No,
Always had to.
we always had horses. The only one that ever had a tractor was Uncle Emmert. He bought an old F-20, or not F-20, well, 1020, one of them old four-wheelers.
Did he have a farm close by where you guys were?
Right there at Granddad's. He farmed part of Granddad's, and he lived on Uncle Willie's place, farmed that part of Granddad.
What do you remember about your grandparents? The Housleys. What do you remember about them? Grandma and Grandpa Housley.
God, I don't know. I stayed with them most of the time. After the folks moved to town, 'cause I didn't like it in town. Probably with them till
So when your folks moved to Bartley,
yeah,
you stayed on the farm with.
I stayed out with Granddad's most of the time, from probably 16 till I was 20 years old. And then I started picking up jobs around. In a couple of years I worked out just for board and room.
Did you ever move into Bartley?
You know, not really move in, no.
So even after your
I
folks.
Just there, and whenever I didn't have any work, well then I'd be either there or Granddad's.
How about Grandma McCain? Do you remember her?
Yeah, she stayed with the folks. She'd be there 3 months out of the year. And then she went and stayed with one of the girls in Hastings and one in Cambridge for 3 months. Then I forget where she stayed the other, but she just stayed 3 months, just made the rounds.
Her husband died way back in the early 1890s,
Yeah.
as I recall.
He died before I was born.
Quite a while before you were born.
Yeah.
Grandma lived in Ohio part of the time too, didn't she?
Down at Fort Recovery, that's
That's where your dad was born.
I suppose that's where he was born.
Did you have a favorite aunt?
Well, Aunt Fern, she was just about a year older than I was. We was always together, so I'd say that
And who's
more like brothers and sisters than we was
she your dad's sister or your mom's sister?
mom's sister.
Did you guys go to school together?
No,
How about your favorite uncle?
well, probably Uncle Leo was with him more than I was any of the rest of them.
You and he were about the same age too, weren't you?
Well, he's what, about 3 years, right? Close to 3 years older than I am. And Aunt Lila, she's a year younger than I am.
And she used to live.
Are you looking?
Hmm?
She used to live there in Cambridge or Bartlett too, didn't she?
No, she lived, about 5 miles northeast of Stockville after she got married.
Okay. What are some of the very first things that you remember when you were a little kid?
What?
The first things that you remembered about being a little kid before you went to school even? Anything you remember about?
God, I don't know what. I can remember trapping ducks
How did you trap ducks?
with just a small steel trap. Put some corn down around the lake and set traps, which was against the law, but
I was
still
going to say,
done it.
I'd never heard of trapping ducks. Did you catch very many?
No, I didn't catch very many.
I remember one time you told about cleaning out a corn crib or something. You found a ham.
Yeah, that was cleaned the corn bin out so we could, because that's what we always cured the meat and put it in the shell of corn. But we had to get that corn out. There wasn't too much left in there, probably 25, 30 bushel. We had to get it out of there because going to thrash wheat, and we had to have a place to put the wheat. And that old ham was down in there.
Any idea how long it had been in there?
Well, it put in there that winter. And this is a long thrashing time.
Why did they store it in the corn?
Huh?
Why did they store the ham in the corn?
I don't know. That's what they always done. They always cured it, and then they'd wrap it up in a flour sack and stick it in the grain bin. I suppose it stayed cooler in there, and it didn't freeze in the wintertime down in there. And it stayed,
Kept it dry, huh?
yeah.
You remember about going to school? Your first day at school? You remember that?
Well, I didn't want to go. I didn't know nobody. Only one of the neighbor girls took me to school. She's about, I don't know, she was probably in the 5th or 6th grade. Just lived right there within about a quarter of a mile of us. And she walked by and took me to school.
And you stayed all day,
Yeah,
and she brought you home at night.
yeah.
What kind of a school was that? Was that a big town school or
Just country school.
one room?
One room.
What kind of games did you play at school?
Well, we played baseball and I don't know what you call it. You run back and forth in games. And
Kind Kind of like
Huh?
Blind Man's Bluff or something like that?
I suppose.
Steal the Bacon?
Hmm?
Steal the Bacon? You ever play that game?
No. We didn't play too many games. Just played baseball maybe noon hour or something. In the winter time, it didn't hardly ever even go out of the schoolhouse when it was real cold.
Did it ever snow out there?
Yeah,
Quite a
snow,
bit of snow?
a lot of it.
Did you play any games in the snow?
Well, yeah, with what was it, fox or whatever they call it, I don't know.
Fox and geese?
Huh?
Fox and geese?
Yeah.
Did your dad ever give you a spanking?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Why in the world would he do that?
Probably because I needed it.
Did your teacher ever give you a spanking?
No.
You must not have been as bad at school as Mom was. then.
Well, I was told if I got a spanking at school, I was going to get a worse one when I got home. So I knew what the one at home was. But I really didn't get too many spankings at home. But
But you got enough.
yeah, there was enough.
Keep you straightened out, huh? You mentioned one time that you had broken your ankle. How did that happen?
Working for the county and we unloading bridge planks on the bridge. We took one blank off and then another one come along with it.
And you weren't ready for that one.
Huh?
And you weren't ready for the second one?
No, wasn't ready for the second one because we was standing there and I got it across right across the ankle.
How old were you then?
Yeah, probably about 19, imagine.
So what county was this? This
No.
Red Willow County or Frontier County?
I was older than that. I was 31. I was 21 years old then. I think I was about 1931 on that.
So where were you working at the time?
South of Bartley, on the bridge. Done that early in the morning and I hobbled around all day and I didn't carry more plank, but I drove nails. But
How'd you find out it was broken?
they, the county boss took me home and that night when we quit, I ate supper and then he come back and took me to the doctor and they in the NOLA and they x-rayed it. Thought it was just sprained at first, but after he x-rayed it, it was all ankle bones was all broke.
Do you remember the names of some of the neighbors who lived around where you lived out on the farm?
Well, the McNerney's was our closest neighbor. Then there's more just a little ways from us. The Ryans, Ed Ryans, Ray West. That was the Ditts.
Ditts?
Ditts. That was just the ones that went to school.
I'm talking about neighbors, right? The Ditzes. Do you remember who your favorite teacher was when you were in school?
I only had one teacher.
She
Oh,
must
eighth
have been
grade.
your favorite.
She was an old grandma.
She was your first teacher,
First teacher and last teacher.
and for all 8 grades.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Haynes. I don't know what her, we called her Mrs. Haynes. I don't know what her first name was.
Was she a pretty good teacher?
Yeah.
What did she teach you?
Huh?
What did she teach you?
What'd she teach me? Well, reading and writing and arithmetic and geography and I don't know what all.
What did you do best in school?
What grades you mean, or what?
What subjects did you like best?
Arithmetic. I done better than that than I did in anything.
Were you a pretty good speller?
No,
You weren't a good speller?
no,
I thought you told me one time you were a champion speller or something.
no. I wasn't no champion. I got by.
Let's see, this one is Who's Who. Outside of the immediate family, we have some famous friends and relatives. Like who? What famous friend or relative do you remember?
I ain't got any friends or relatives on my side of the house at all.
Maybe infamous ones.
Huh?
Maybe infamous or notorious ones on your side of the
Well,
family.
they probably some outlaws, but I don't know.
Okay, now we're going to talk about your brothers and sisters. How many brothers did you have?
4.
And what were their names?
Phil and Melvin, Frank, and Kenny.
And sisters?
3. Irene, Ruby, and Carvel.
Who was the oldest?
Oldest what?
The oldest member of your family?
I was.
You were.
Now, my brother that's dead was the oldest, Phil, but he died when he was just a baby before I was born.
So he didn't live very long.
No.
Did you get along pretty good with your brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
But you haven't been too close to them for the last 50 years or more, have you?
The last 60 years. Haven't been close to them, you might say, since I was 16 years old.
And that's when they moved to Bartley and you
Yeah.
stayed on the farm.
Because I wasn't home too much.
What do you remember most about being with your brothers and sisters?
What?
What do you remember most about being with your brothers and sisters? On the farm or
I don't remember
growing
much
up?
about being with them.
Did you have to do chores together?
Yeah, we did when I was on the farm.
Did
All they ever done was get in the woods and cobs for the fire. They wasn't old enough to milk any cows. They was always on the farm.
So being the oldest, you had to do the hard work, huh?
I had to do the milking. To see, what was Melvin? He was only about 14 years old when we left the farm.
Did you get to visit with them very often after they left Nebraska?
No, not too often.
What kind of work did they do?
Worked in the woods, timber. Kenny worked paper mill.
What did he do there?
I don't know what he did. He was a tugboat operator, hauling logs and stuff up to the mill. Sawdust.
So he must have been what, driving a boat on the river? Is that what he
Yeah,
was
that, what do you call it? The tugboat or whatever it is pulls those barges around with sawdust that was shipped in there and pushed it up to the mill to unload.
And that was probably on, what, the Columbia River? Is
Yeah.
that where he was? Let's see if we can find some good stuff here. Gotta see if we can find some good stuff here. Do you remember how old you were when you said your first words?
God, no.
In the book here, you said you were 15 months old.
Well,
But
it was.
it also says you were 20 months old when you started to walk, and I think you probably were more like 10 months old.
I don't know how old I was.
And you were 10 years old when you learned how to cook?
Yeah.
What did you learn how to cook first?
Eggs,
Had to make your own breakfast?
maybe some potatoes or something like that.
And it says here you were 23 years old when you kissed your first girl?
Yeah, I imagine I was that old, yeah.
Was that Mom?
Yeah,
The only girl you ever kissed, huh?
yeah. I never had no girlfriends. Didn't have time.
Did you ever get lost sometime when you were away from home?
Not that I know of.
Couldn't find your way back?
Always, I wasn't that very far away.
Didn't get that far away. How old were you when you smoked your first cigarette?
God, I don't know, probably 10, 11 years old.
That was pretty young, wasn't it?
That's, well, kids sneaked out then, you know. You had to roll your own then.
Real tobacco?
Huh?
Was it real tobacco, or did you have
Yeah,
to-
some, but probably we stole from Dad. And I didn't ever, boy, probably.
You didn't have to grind up your own grape leaves or
No.
whatever?
But he had that old Bull Durham and them little sacks. And I think we stole some of them, one of them, and some papers. And I and Pat and Ernie go down the pasture and roll a cigarette. Then we'd hide the tobacco in the barn.
You never set a prairie fire while you were down there
No.
doing that? How old were you when you had your first beer?
Probably about 16, 17 years old.
How about when you had your first hard liquor? Shot of whiskey?
Oh, God, I must have been 20 years old or older before I had any taste of whiskey.
Did it taste good?
Huh?
Did it taste good?
Kind of hot.
And how old were you when you had your first date?
First date,
First time you went out with a girl?
22, 20,
What was her name?
Dorothy.
You never dated another girl
No.
before? Mom told me about all kinds of guys that she went with,
Uh-huh.
but I say, Mom told me about all kinds of guys that she went with before.
Well, maybe she did, but I never did.
How old were you when you got your first traffic ticket?
First traffic ticket.
For speeding or making a wrong turn or?
I never did get a traffic ticket.
Not even one?
Not even one.
Do you ever have to go to court?
Went once
What for?
for overload.
Overload. You were overloaded?
Overloaded chickens.
Oh. Where was that?
Uh, Winterset, Iowa. Come over the scale and too much manure, I think, in the trucks. More than there was chickens.
And they wouldn't let you scrape out the manure and just weigh
No.
the chickens, huh? You had to spend a night in jail for that?
No,
What did you have to spend a night in jail for?
I never did spend a night in jail. No, I just called the boss and he wanted to know what the fine was for the overload, and I told him, and well, he said write him out a check. I said they won't take the check, and I says where I gas up, they said they'd cash the check for me. So where we always gassed up there at Winterset. Called down there and asked that fellow if he'd cash the check. He said, yeah. So the patrolman took me down there and wrote out a check for there at the filling station. And that old boy gave him the cash.
How much was the fine?
It was $20, I think, was all. I didn't carry that much money with me.
When you were growing up, were you pretty shy or were you an outgoing sort of fellow?
I think I was kind of shy. I didn't go out very much with anything.
With anybody?
Huh?
Not only the girls, but
Never went any place. Hardly went to a picture show once in a while with some of the fellows
where did you go to the picture shows?
there in Bartley.
They had a theater there in town?
Yeah. Then we went to McCook quite often,
How far was it to McCook?
20 miles. Heck, we'd ride the train up there for 50 cents. $1 you could ride round trip.
From Bartley to McCook?
Yeah. We'd catch one and about 5 o'clock in the afternoon you'd catch a train going west up to McCook. And at midnight one come back to go to show and get out. And,
What railroad line? What
Burlington.
railroad? The Burlington?
yeah.
They go on from McCook to where?
Denver.
Do you remember how old you were when you got your first long pants?
First long pants.
Mm-hmm.
I never did wear any short ones.
Never wore short pants?
No.
Not even when you were just a little shaver?
No. Always wore overalls.
Always still wearing them.
Still wearing them.
You ever grow a mustache?
No.
Or a beard?
No.
How about, do you ever win a contest?
No.
Never once.
No.
You remember when you were a kid, did you have any pets? Any cats or dogs? Or
Had dogs.
remember what your first pet was?
First pet was.
Mm-hmm.
I had one of them shepherd dogs.
What was his name? Or her
I
name?
forget what it called it.
Old Shep?
We just holler at him, he'd come. I forget what his name was.
It's kind of like having a dog named Dog. We used to do that too, didn't we? Did that dog ever have a name other than Dog?
Huh?
We had a dog once we called Dog. Did she ever have any other name? Just Dog. Well, your first date was with Mom. Do you remember what you did on your first date?
Well, we went to picture show. Okay.
Wasn't anything else to do? You remember what the show was? You were so excited that you didn't.
Probably Roy Rogers or some of them cowboy shows.
Do you remember when you first learned how to dance?
I never did dance.
I think you and Mom were made for each other. She told me
Huh?
you and Mom were made for each other because she said she didn't learn how to dance either. Maybe if you'd learned how to dance, she'd learned how to dance. Did you ever want to learn how to dance?
No. The only reason I didn't want to, I hated dances.
You did?
Yeah, because
Why?
Dad, well, my dad and the neighbor man played for dances when we was growing up. From the time I was probably 5 years old till I was 14, such matter, about every Saturday night, they'd go some of the neighbors and they'd dance at their houses till wee hours in the damn morning. Then you'd go home in the wagon 3 or 4 miles to get home, and
And you didn't like that?
I didn't like it. Didn't like the idea of going to the. And after I got big enough so I could dance, I stayed clear away from it.
What kind of a band did Grandpa play in?
Well, you just played the fiddle and somebody played an old organ.
Just
Maybe, I don't know, one of the neighbors had a guitar.
Did they make pretty good music?
Well, I guess.
When you only have one guy that can play the fiddle and one guy that can play the guitar, you have to
Yeah.
take what you can get. Huh? Did you ever have the measles?
Yeah, I had the measles. That's the only thing I ever did have.
Were you sick when you had them?
I pretty near died because I had pneumonia along with them.
Pneumonia along with the measles.
Huh?
But you never had the mumps
No,
or chicken pox?
no,
Never had your tonsils out?
no. I had the adenoids out.
What are adenoids?
You know,
In your nose.
little things about that big on each side of your, up in your nose.
You had those out. How old were you when you had those out?
Oh, had them out in 1934, 33 or 34. Down here, Dr. Lanceball took them out.
But is
Right,
that
the
when you were
CC
in the
camp
CCC?
then.
When did you join the CCC?
When did us join?
Mhm.
January 1933,
And how long were you in?
27 months.
You had that down just like that. You remember that to the
Huh?
month. You had that down to the month. You knew exactly how long that was. Did you enjoy being in the CCC?
Yeah.
What kind of things did you do there?
Huh?
What kind of things did you do in the CCC?
Well, we put in brush dams and earth dams and terraces.
What's a brush dam?
Well, down in these gullies, you dug a trench across it, and you put brush in there, and then you put some hog wire from posts and tramped that full of brush, tied it down.
And that held the water?
That kept it from flowing so fast, and it sealed in behind it.
So it just kept the topsoil from running off with
Yeah.
the water. What else did you do? You made dams, and what else?
Planted trees. Planted a lot of trees around here.
What kind of trees did they plant?
Cottonwoods and mostly.
Cottonwoods? Any elm trees?
No, we never planted any elm. We planted a lot of walnut. Just planted the walnuts and not transplanted the trees in when
Where did they get the trees?
they growed them right down there at the fairground.
So they raised them from what, seedlings?
Huh?
They raised them from seedlings down here and then?
Yeah, we had out there, you remember the old roundhouse used to be down there?
Vaguely.
Right on the north side of that, we had places there where we planted those walnuts and
Was the roundhouse a part of the CCC?
no, it was just there on the fairground. But we had the use of the whole fairground down there only right at fair time. Otherwise, we used the community hall or that hall down there and all that stuff where we played basketball in there. And that's where our barber shop was. And down where the chickens kept the chickens and stuff down there, that was our garage where a mechanic worked in our tool shed. We had
Where did you guys sleep?
barracks down there where the lake is.
Barracks. How about a mess hall? Do you have a mess hall?
Yeah,
That's where you learned how to eat spaghetti and macaroni and
that's where we had spaghetti and macaroni, I think 3 times a day, 7 days a week.
Do you remember who your best friends were when you were in the CCC?
Well, I had Vern Stewart that I run around with, and Harry Ruby and stuff like that.
Where was Vern Stewart from?
Huh?
Where was Vern Stewart from?
I don't know. Don't remember where he was from.
Harry was from out near where you came from.
Harry was from
Trenton? Is that where he was from?
hmm?
Was he from Trenton?
No, south of Bartley there, Danbury. I'll get it in a
Danbury.
while.
Okay. What did you guys do in your spare time?
What do you mean spare time?
Well, you didn't work all 24 hours a day.
No. They
Right.
played football and they played baseball down there. And you had your laundry to do and cleaning the barracks, and there wasn't much spare time. But then we had a pool table down there that we'd go over to the recreation hall, what we called it, and play cards or play pool.
How many guys were down there while you were there?
200.
200. Did very many of them stay around here?
Not very many of them around here. There's only I think there's only one here besides me anymore. Rep over here,
Bob Rep?
Bob Rep.
Well, Harry Ruby stayed here.
Well, yeah, Ruby moved to Lincoln. I think Ruby's dead.
Yeah, I think he died some time ago.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was I going to ask?
The one on the couch, you can't see.
Oh, I saw that. I'm tuned in. Are there any things you like to collect? Besides money. Do you have any collections? Any favorite things you like to collect?
No. We never throwed anything away.
Just ugly neckties that you got for Father's Day and birthdays and
I don't
Christmas? Do you like to get up early in the morning?
Not anymore. No.
Well, there's this column of things that you love and you hate, and it says you didn't like to get up in the morning or take a cold bath. Like talking to strangers?
I don't think so.
No, I don't. I don't talk period anymore.
How about going to the dentist?
Well, I haven't been to the dentist for 40 years, you might say.
That's because your teeth haven't broken, huh?
Well, I didn't have to go to the dentist then if I broke them once, but I just take them up and he sent them in and got them fixed.
And they haven't broken lately, I take
No.
it. How about working on old cars?
I don't know enough to work on old cars.
But
Since
you like,
Model T went out,
you like to watch TV.
yeah,
How would you like to make a speech?
huh?
How would you like to make a speech?
I wouldn't,
You wouldn't do it, huh?
no.
Let's see, things you said you broke your ankle, but break anything else? Any other bones you broke? Arms,
Nope.
shoulders, collarbones?
Collarbone.
How'd you break that?
Over here taking care of Jim DeFries's horses. We got tangled up in a rope. Got upset.
I remember one time we had to take you to the doctor. You got your hand crushed or something, or drove something through your hand when we were out at Ferris's. Was it a hitch or something that you got your hand caught in a hitch or something and got something run through your hand or your wrist? You remember that?
Remember that.
I think we were living out at Ferris's.
Well, out there after the Weens, I got toe smashed with a sledgehammer.
No, that wasn't it. Thought you got your hand caught in a hitch or something and drove a pin through your hand, or
Must not have broke anything. I don't know.
maybe that was my imagination. Well, okay, tell me about how you met your wife.
How it matter?
When did you first meet her?
Well, they was walking up the street and we was riding around with damn, I can't say his name now. It's all good to do my own. and Stuart, and we was riding in his car, or this other fellow's car. And they was walking down the street, three of them. We stopped, asked them if they wanted to go ride, and that's. I didn't know him from Adam, but he knew him.
Who was Mom with when you met them? Do you remember who the other women were?
Well, Laverne's sister and
That's Clarice, right? Clarice
yeah,
Laughlin?
Clarice and I can't think of that other girl's name. Thompson's girl.
Thompson girl. Okay. And it wasn't love at first sight,
No,
but you asked her out again the next night?
yeah,
You must have been impressed.
huh?
I say you must have been somewhat impressed. He didn't ask you out the next night? Well, I'll
I
get,
don't know what night I had to crowd after.
but it was sometime soon after.
Yeah,
Okay. And did you have a nickname for her?
no, but just Doc's always over.
And did she have a nickname for you?
No. Probably did, but she never said it.
She never told you. How long was it after you met that you two were engaged?
God, I don't know. How long it was? Quite a while though.
A month? 2 months? 3 months?
Probably a year.
A year? Okay. And when were you married?
When we were married,
Do you remember when you were married?
November 29th. Don't ask me what year.
1930.
1935. Somewhere along there.
Is that a pretty good guess?
Well, it'll be
Where were you? Oh,
it'll be 59 years this November.
59 years. Where were you married?
Seneca, Kansas.
And who was the person that married you? Preacher?
Judge?
Do you remember the judge's name?
No.
Who was the best man?
I don't know what their names was either. They're in the courthouse.
They were hired hands, huh?
They was-
Why did you guys go to Seneca, Kansas to get married?
we just run off.
You eloped?
Well,
Nobody knew you were going to go and get married.
no.
And then when you came home and told them,
We didn't tell them till about Christmas time.
it was a month before you let anybody know you got
Yeah.
married?
Because they thought we told them we was going over to Liberty to see Granddad because he was coming back there they was back there for Thanksgiving. But Granddad wasn't there.
So you didn't tell them the truth. You gave them this fishy story and took off for Kansas, huh?
Yep.
And it was a month before you told anybody you got married. I got to ask this question. What did Grandpa Abbott say when he found out that you'd run off and married his daughter?
He didn't say nothing. probably glad to get rid of her. Now, she said,
Because she was 20 years old and she was starting to be an old maid, and he thought it was time to get. Well, where did you spend your honeymoon?
we didn't have any.
Well, you had to have a honeymoon.
We didn't have no
You
money
just-
to go on a honeymoon.
You went down to Kansas and got married and came back and you dropped her off at her house and
Went back Pawnee and stayed overnight, then we come home the next day.
they didn't say anything about you being out overnight with her?
No, they thought we was over to Liberty,
Oh.
my aunt's.
Okay. After you fessed up and let somebody know that you got married, where did you first live?
Well, it was April, I think, before we moved. Then we moved in down here to, oh heck, forget what the,
Do you have a house?
upstairs in the house down there.
An apartment?
Yeah, upstairs.
Do you remember how much you had to pay for rent on the apartment?
Wasn't very much. I don't know what we had to pay.
And you got, how much were you making at the CCC?
$30 a month, $1 a day we
$1 a
made.
day. And you had to pay rent out of that.
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll get off the fun stuff and we have to go back to some of the dull stuff here. Some of the things you hated doing when you were a child. Making your own bed. You have to make your own bed?
No,
Your mom made your bed for you?
Mom made the beds.
Did she pick up your clothes too? Your dirty clothes?
Well, I imagine we picked up her clothes. We didn't have any pickup.
And you had to put your own toys away?
We didn't have no toys.
No toys at all? Not even a little wagon or?
No.
How about taking a bath? Did you like to take a bath when you were a kid?
We took a bath behind the cook stove in the tub.
Did you ever go down to the creek and go swimming and take a bath there?
Well, I told we was probably 16 years old before we was anywhere near a creek. We always got in a horse tank.
Well, there wasn't a creek nearby,
No,
so just went down to the horse tank and
got the horse tank. Wait till dark, take your clothes off and jump in.
do you remember living in that sod house?
No, I don't remember. Well, I remember living in a sod house, but not the one I was born in.
Also, after you were born, you moved to another sod house?
No. I was about 7 years old when we moved to the other sod house. That was when Dad had that claim. He built a sod house on that,
Where was that?
up in the Sand Hills,
Where in the Sand Hills?
there by Alliance.
You know how far from Alliance that was?
Probably 20 miles or so.
What year was that? About?
About 1916, 17,
Oh, you said you were about seven when?
about 6, 7, because I was about 1916 when we was up there.
So about 1916, 1917, there was a homestead.
We was up there 2 winters.
You remember what direction from Alliance that was?
straight south,
South.
mostly south.
About how many miles? Any idea?
No, I don't. Must have been about 20 miles or so, because when Dad would go in after groceries, he'd go up one day and back the next. The team
Took a team and wagon.
wagon. Go up to get flour and sugar and stuff like that, and then maybe get a little coal.
And you were up there 2 winters?
Yeah,
What did you do in the summertime?
he come back down Bartley and worked on farms for people.
So what did he do on the homestead when he was up there in the wintertime?
He hunted muskrats and prairie chickens, and he'd haul them into Alliance, and they shipped them back east someplace.
So he was kind of a meat hunter for,
Well, you could shoot those prairie chickens at that time and just freeze them with their feathers on, and hell, they'd
and they'd send him where? To restaurants?
hang them
or-
outside. They froze.
And then what were they used for back east?
I think they shipped them back. They'd take them into Alliance, and then they'd buy them there. I don't know how much he got for them. They just shipped them
Shipped them
someplace,
east
I
from
don't know
there.
where. I suppose back east. And I remember he got 10 cents a piece for his muskrat hides.
And you were up there on that homestead 2 winters.
Yeah.
What happened after 2 winters? Did they sell out or what?
Yeah. Sold it to the rancher there. So heck, you might say right in the middle of his ranch.
How did the rancher feel about somebody coming up on
What?
a homestead and right in the middle of?
Well, he was tickled to death because he knew somebody had sometime, because he had all he could get.
So he had as many acres as he could claim?
Well, yeah.
What did you do?
I don't know what Dad got for it, but I know that's what he started up farming with, whatever he got for that.
Did it get kind of cold up there in the sand hills in the wintertime?
Not any colder than it does here.
But living in a sod house, wasn't that kind of cold?
That sod house is a whole lot warmer than these houses. Them old walls are that wide.
Did you have to help build those sod houses?
No, it
You
was
just
already
got-
built when I got up. Went
Oh,
up
it was built. So Grandpa didn't have to build it?
Granddad and Dad and Granddad and I don't know who else. It was about Uncle Seth. He lived up there, just a mile north of where we was at, and he helped. They built that before we went up there.
So Uncle Seth was up there before you guys
Yeah.
went up. Was Grandma McCain up there with him?
No, Grandma McCain never went up there.
She was never up there. See, Uncle Seth and Uncle Bill. Do you have an Uncle Bill? Was he up there too?
No, he wasn't ever up there.
But Uncle Seth had homesteaded up there.
Yeah, he had a homestead up about a mile north of where we was at.
So he and Grandpa and Grandpa Housley
Yeah.
were the ones that built the sod house
Well,
up there.
Grandpa Howard had a car then at that time, and they went up there and built that before we moved up there.
What did you do on rainy days?
Rainy days,
Yeah, what was your favorite thing to do on rainy days?
sat in the house,
Just sit in the house and watch it rain?
look at the walls.
Couldn't watch TV in those days.
No, never.
Which of these would you prefer? Living in a small town or a big city?
Small town,
Why not a big city?
too crowded.
Would you rather eat in a restaurant or home cooking?
Sooner eat at home,
You don't like eating restaurants?
not anymore.
You used to.
No, I didn't really like it, but I had to eat out a lot.
When you're in a car, would you rather be driving or just riding and watching the countryside go by?
Well, anymore, I'd just soon be watching. I don't drive anymore.
Would you say that you're an early riser or you like to sleep in late?
Well, I don't want to get up too early.
But you don't want to sleep too late either.
No, hell no.
Would you rather earn money or spend it?
Both.
You can't spend it if you don't earn it. Would you rather live in an apartment or a house?
Sure live in a house.
With one wife or two?
6.
6. What are the various kinds of jobs you've had?
What do you mean? What?
Well, what kind of jobs have you had other than working on a farm and working in the
Farm?
CCC?
Worked on the farm. I worked Campbell Soup, driving truck, pulling chickens, unloading chickens, engine room, refrigeration.
What did you do before you went to work at Campbell Soup?
Huh?
What did you do before you went to work at Campbell Soup?
Worked at the hatchery,
Which hatchery?
Douglas.
What did you do there?
Well, set eggs, and then I worked out taking care of the chickens and gathered eggs and brought them in and put them in incubators. And
Did you do anything other than farm work when you lived out around Bartley and out there
worked for the railroad, the grading gang,
for the Burlington?
Burlington.
What part of the railroad did you work on out there?
Well, we worked all over. Worked in Lincoln, we worked in Hastings, we worked in Denver, and then we worked a lot of places just out in the wide open spaces.
How did you like working in Denver?
Well, at that time it was all right because there wasn't much ceremony. Just down in the yards.
I remember you saying something about going swimming in the Platte River while you were out there.
We went swimming, yeah. Just dived in and dived out.
Was that in the wintertime?
No, it was long in August. But the water would freeze you.
Even in August?
Huh?
Even in August, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, how many of these things can you drive? Car,
Yeah,
tractor,
yeah.
pair of mules,
Oh, yeah,
team of horses,
yeah.
dog sled,
No.
a nail.
Oh, yeah.
Did you do some nail driving in your life? Did you do quite a bit of that?
We built the house here.
Do you think you could be a carpenter?
I wouldn't want to be, no.
Now, it says here you could milk a cow.
Yeah, milk.
You do that quite a bit?
Huh?
Have you done quite a bit of cow milking?
Well, for 4 years I milked about 30 head every night and morning, but had milkers.
30 head?
Yeah, when I was out there to Weems's, we milked all the way from 25 to 30
Twice a day.
twice a day for 4 years.
What did you do during the day between milking?
Well, we had a bunch of, there was a couple hundred head of steers in the feed lot we had to feed, and then we done some farm work. Put her to do chores all day.
Did you ever learn how to cook? Other than just making eggs for breakfast?
Yeah, I can cook, put her at anything. They don't like my cooking though.
No, no editorial comments here. Because
I have,
tomorrow we're going to make another interview here, and we're going to have everybody around making comments.
when they're gone, I always fry eggs, fry potatoes and eggs for my meal.
And you can get by pretty good when they're gone, and you don't
Yeah.
have to have everybody cook for you.
Cook what I want to.
Which meal could you do the best job of cooking? Breakfast or lunch or supper?
I don't know.
Any of them, huh?
My God.
Okay, here's some things. What do you think about alcohol in America? Is that a problem or not?
Yeah. It always has been.
How about taxes?
Some of them's too darn high.
Are any of them too low?
Well, no, ain't none of them too low.
What do you think about automobiles?
About what?
Automobiles.
Automobiles. All right, I guess. Some way to get around anyhow.
And smoking?
Huh?
How about smoking?
Well, fella shouldn't, but it did for years.
You ever get sick smoking a cigar or something like that?
No,
Never did. I did.
I got, the only thing I ever got, I didn't really get sick, was on chewing tobacco.
You used to chew?
Huh?
Did you used to chew?
I know, I didn't used to chew.
But you tried it once and got sick?
I and Aunt Fern, we get, Granddad come from town, we got up in the wagon, we thought we'd find some candy, but we didn't. We found his chewing tobacco, but we took a chew off on that. We ended up down on the, over the wagon tongue heaving.
And you didn't ever chew after that?
No,
But she did.
I don't think she did either.
What do you think about women's lib?
I don't think much of it. That's always been here.
What would you say is the silliest thing you ever did?
Getting married.
That's what Mom said too. How about the second silliest thing you ever did?
I don't know.
How about the smartest thing you ever did?
I never did anything very smart.
Nothing? Never Never had anything that you really was glad you did?
Huh?
Nothing that you was ever really glad that you had done?
No.
Did you ever have a close call with death at any time?
No.
Never had to stare it right in the eye, huh? How about the best vacation you ever had when you were growing up?
I never really had any vacations, so after,
Grandma and Grandpa never took you on a vacation, huh?
no. Back then, nobody went vacationing.
How about the best year you had in school?
In school,
What was your favorite grade in school?
well, none of them was very favorable, but got by.
But you graduated from the 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't you go to high school?
No, too far to go.
How far was it to the nearest high school?
Well, when I got out of, before we moved to Bartley, it was about 8 miles.
And the school bus didn't come out your way?
There wasn't no school buses.
They didn't have a wagon to take you guys to school?
Well, I'd have had to rode a horseback or something like 8 miles and back every day.
Weren't there any other kids in the neighborhood that were high school age?
None of them went to high school.
What was your favorite game when you were growing up?
Favorite game?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Some game that you played with the other kids in the neighborhood?
The only thing we play, we'll go play baseball once in a while, but otherwise,
You ever play marbles or anything like that when you were a
well,
kid?
yeah, we played marbles, but
Who was your favorite girl before you were 10 years old? Did you have a favorite girl when you were going to school? In the first grade, second grade, third grade?
I never had no real favorite. The friends, neighbor girl there that took me to school was quite a bit older than I was.
She was an
That's
older
the-
woman, yeah. Okay.
the only-
So, and your best sweetheart while you were a teenager?
Didn't have any sweethearts.
Didn't have any. And your best sweetheart since you were a teenager?
Granted,
She was standing out there with a knife.
Huh?
She was standing out there with a knife, just waiting for you to say that. What's your favorite color?
white, I guess.
And your favorite flowers?
I don't know if there's any favorites. They're all roses, I suppose.
How about your favorite aftershave?
Huh?
Your favorite aftershave lotion?
Don't use any.
You don't use any?
No,
Doesn't it make your face raw to
no.
shave and not?
Shave electric razor, and I don't put nothing on it.
Do you put anything on before you shave?
No.
No Williams electric shave or anything like that? Your favorite day of the year?
Christmas.
Christmas. What do you like about Christmas?
You have turkey. Sometimes.
How about your favorite time of the day?
about 10 o'clock at night when it's time to go to bed.
It's bedtime, huh? Your favorite musical instrument?
I ain't got no favorites.
Did you like to listen to your dad play the violin?
Violin's all right, yeah. But
Do you have a favorite poem?
no,
How about a favorite song?
we got none of them favorite either.
No favorite songs? Even when you were growing up as a
No.
young man? You ever go roller skating?
Yeah,
Where?
we went, Indianola went roller skating. And didn't go very often. Most of the time was sitting on the floor.
Spent a lot of time picking yourself up off the floor. Huh?
Yeah.
How about ice skating? Did you go ice skating when you were a kid?
No,
Never had ice skates. What were some of the favorite things you used to do with your family? How about going on picnics? Do you go on picnics with?
huh?
You ever go on picnics with your family?
Well,
Your mom and dad?
when we growing up, we'd always go to Granddad's for whatever old 4th of July and stuff like that on picnics.
What did you have to eat on those picnics?
Huh?
What did they fix to eat?
What'd they fix to eat? Well, it's regular dinners, you know,
Roast beef?
potluck, yeah, beef, taters, and chicken, and stuff like that. And
Hot dogs?
no, there wasn't no hot dogs.
That was before hot dogs?
I suppose. We'd just go over to the Medicine Creek in the timber and have a picnic, go fishing.
Go swimming in the river?
Huh?
Did you go swimming in the river?
Yeah. That was about once a year they'd go there. Either granddad's or else the neighbors.
Did they build up a big fire and roast marshmallows and
No.
those kind of things? No marshmallows in those days either?
I don't think there's any marshmallows in either.
Did you ever have popcorn when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
Did you grow popcorn on the farm so you had your own
Yeah.
popcorn?
Popcorn, sweet corn.
Do you remember cranking the ice cream freezer?
Yeah.
Who got to lick the paddle?
Huh?
Who got to lick the paddle? When you take the paddle out.
Whoever got there first.
When you were growing up, when you first started school up until about the time you were 10, who were your favorite friends, your best friends?
What do you mean, in school?
Well, in school, in the neighborhood.
Well, the McNerney kids, because they was right there close to us, we was always together in the, even the summertime, because it was Pat and Bill and Carl.
They lived where? Right across the road from
They
you?
just lived just, you might say, about as far as near up to DeFreeze's or up the hill from us.
Anybody else lived around there close?
Well, the Baltimore's lived about a half mile from us.
What were their names?
Well, it was, God, Mabel and Baldy, we called him, Harlan, I think's his name.
Called him Baldy?
Yeah, Baldy. His daughters, his sisters gave him that name because when they get little, all he was doing was bawling all the time.
Baldy. Not
Because they call him
Baldy.
And then, I forget all their names.
Who was this guy we were talking about a while ago? Elvis. Elvis, what's his
Huh?
name? Elvis?
Elvis, that was Dit. One of the Dit boys. And Ada Callan was there.
How about in your older days? Who were your best friends here in Tecumseh?
Where?
Here in Tecumseh, who were your best friends?
Well,
Guys you worked with?
Von Hillier and Paul Rathbun, Bo McCoy, and old Bill Schaefer. About, well, fellows I worked with,
Are they still around?
yeah. Paul lives right up here on the hill. Vaughn lives where he always did. Old Bill Schaefer lives over east here.
Do you see them very often?
Huh?
Do you see them very often?
No, too often. I see Paul Rathbun for every day or two up at the post office on draft mail.
When you were a kid, who was the craziest kid you knew?
Huh?
Who was the craziest kid you knew?
Craziest.
Yep. Craziest kid.
That goes all crazy.
Any one of them that seemed to be crazier than the others?
No.
How about the nuttiest girl?
I wouldn't have no idea.
How about the meanest man that you knew? No meanies in the neighborhood?
No, it wouldn't mean.
How about the funniest joker you ever knew?
No. Ready. I can remember one of our neighbors, I thought he was older than Jerusalem, old Ed Ryan, we called him. And God, he probably wasn't over 30 years old. And I thought he was probably 70, because he was gray-headed.
He must have had kids.
Huh?
He must have had kids.
I don't know what, but God, we always thought he was way old. Come find out he wasn't.
Who's the most memorable person that you ever met?
Memorable.
The most memorable person you ever met. What one person most influenced you? Who had the greatest influence on you? Who had the greatest influence on you? Who did you most want to be like?
I don't have no idea.
Have you had a favorite saying?
Favorite what?
A favorite saying, like early to bed, early to rise makes a man tired? Or anything like that? All work and no play makes...
Huh?
All work and no play makes Jack dull?
Yeah.
Something like that? Who was your favorite person outside of the family?
Well, I have no idea.
Do you have a favorite person you'd most like to be with, or whatever outside of the family?
No.
Favorite friend?
Well, I had more fun being with Von Hager
How long did you work with him?
27 years.
27. Was he working down there when you went to work
Yeah.
at the plant?
Yeah.
What's your favorite hobby? What do you like to do with your time other than
Sleep.
That's the truth.
Other than sleeping?
I don't know.
What do you like to do when you're just puttering around?
Just putter, I guess.
How long has it been since you went fishing?
God. Probably 10 years or more.
But you don't have to buy a fishing license anymore, do you?
Last time I went, what did I, took Leash and M, they were just, M wasn't very big, probably 3 years old. Went down there to the pond, went fishing, that's the last time I remember going fishing. Well, I haven't bought a fishing license for I don't know when.
You
But
don't
when I
have,
turned 70, I got a free.
I was going to say, you shouldn't have to buy one anymore.
Huh?
You shouldn't have to buy one anymore.
I got a fishing license, but I don't have to buy them.
Do you remember the first money you ever earned?
First money I ever earned. Yeah,
What did you do to earn that?
worked in that shop in wheat.
What did you have to do there?
What I have to do,
What? I don't know what shock
Shock.
wheat is. What do you have to do to shock wheat?
put them up in shocks, bundles, put them up and set them up so the heads is up.
You just go out into the field and get a handful of
Yeah.
wheat and tie it together?
It was already tied. The binder, follow the binder and pick up the bundles and
Oh, so the
Shock.
binder cut it and tied it into bundles,
Yeah.
and then you had to pick up the bundles
pick
and
it up bundles and
Stack
set
'em.
it up so the heads was up off the ground
why were the heads off the ground?
so the sun hit them, dry them out and cure them.
And how much did you make doing that?
I actually got 50 cents a day,
For how many hours?
whatever,
2 hours a day?
huh?
2 hours a day?
2 hours, more like about 8 hours.
So you were working for about a nickel an hour.
Yeah. That was high priced money then.
About how old were you when you did that?
Probably about 15.
What was the first big thing that you bought with your own money?
The first thing I ever bought with my own money,
The first big thing you bought with your own money? Not just a package of gum or something like that, but the first big purchase you ever made with your own money.
big thing that I ever bought mounted was bed and dresser.
The bed and the dresser? How much
Yep.
did you pay for that?
Got the bed, springs and mattress and cabinet or whatever you call it, dresser. I think it was $25.
And that was right after you got married?
No, that's when I was about 17 years old, 16.
Why did you buy that when you were?
So I had a room to go to when I was home.
Oh, so you had to furnish your own room
Either that or,
or sleep on the floor, huh?
well, it was beds there, but we had a new one. Em and Kayla's got my dresser up there now.
That was the same dresser you bought way back then?
Yeah, they needed a dresser up there in their room, so it was upstairs out here, we wasn't using it. So
When was the first time you ever drove a car?
about 16 years old.
And whose car was it that you drove?
Granddad's old Model T.
Your granddad?
Yeah.
Granddad Housley? What was the first kind of a car you ever bought?
Bought an old Model T, first one I ever bought.
Was it a new one?
Yeah, it was a new one.
Brand new Model T?
Just all it was running gears and there wasn't nobody on it.
The Ford Motor Company sold it like that?
The running gears was all that was any good on it. The motor, the body was all shot.
How much did you pay for that?
I could give $5 for it. Run it for a year or so.
Was there a seat on the thing?
We made a seat on the gas tank. The gas tank was there and we made a wooden seat on that.
Wasn't that a little bit dangerous riding on the gas tank?
Well, we had you didn't go very fast at that time.
Did you ever buy a brand new car?
Yeah,
How often did you buy a brand new car?
but one, 1969.
Is that the one you still have?
Yeah. Only new car I ever had.
Do you remember the first time you ever went gambling?
Went gambling.
Gambling, yeah. Did you ever play poker or
Never paid nothing over penny ante.
did you win?
No, if you won, you didn't win very much.
Do you remember the first time you ever went fishing?
Yeah, probably about 12, 13 years old when we'd go on those picnics. We'd go hand fishing over in the river.
What's hand fishing? You try to
Huh?
what do you mean by hand fishing? You try to catch hands or
When they catch them old carp and stuff.
carp?
Yeah.
Did you eat them?
Huh?
Did you catch some?
Yeah, we'd catch them.
Did you eat them?
Yeah, we'd eat them.
Were they? I thought they were trash fish. Are they?
Huh?
Are they good to eat?
Well, yeah, the old carp's good to eat. They're kind of bony, but that's about all that was in that Medicine Creek. There was catfish in there, but you didn't want to catch them by hand.
A little sticky, huh?
Huh?
They were kind of sticky.
Yeah, it was sticky.
How many different cars have you owned in your lifetime?
Three. Probably about 6, 7.
Do you remember what kind they were?
Well, I had an old Cleveland.
Who made that?
I don't know who made it. And I had two Model Ts. And then we have two, one, three, four. We've had 5 Chevrolets since we got married, I guess. That's the old cars I can never have.
Remember what year they were? I remember a 39. We had
Huh?
we had 1 or 2 before the old
Yeah.
39 Chevy.
Yeah, that old 39, and I got up. I don't know that. One of them was 30, 49.
I remember that one. Were you ever in an accident? An automobile accident?
Hmm?
Were you ever in an automobile accident?
No.
Never? You were never riding with Grandma when she was in an accident?
No. She was herself.
Can you remember the happiest Christmas you ever had? Not one of them that's kind of stood out more special than others?
No.
How about other holidays? 4th of July, the noisiest 4th of July?
After probably this 4th of July was about as noisy as any of them.
How about Valentine's Day?
That's just another day.
Or a birthday? Do you ever have a special birthday?
No.
Or the craziest Halloween?
They were all of them back then was crazy.
What did you used to do on Halloween when you were a kid?
Went around, moved everybody's machinery downtown that we could find.
Anything else? Just moving machinery around?
Well, we never tore anything up.
You never moved anybody's outhouse?
Well, we upset it, probably a few, but
What was the funniest joke that anybody ever played on you?
remember any.
Nobody ever played a prank on you? Did you ever play a prank on somebody else? How about your most embarrassing moment? When, were you ever embarrassed by anybody or anything?
No.
What was the first trip that you can remember?
First trip? Well, the first trip I ever took, I was what, about 18 years old. I got on the train and went to Hastings to see my aunt and uncle there. And that's the only trip that I remember, first one I ever took. That's the first time I ever went any place by myself, you might say.
Did you ever travel in a covered wagon?
Yeah,
Where did you go?
that's when we left, go from Bartley up to the homestead. Go up there in the covered wagon.
Now you mentioned in here about traveling up to Valentine.
Well, that's where we went, from Bartley up to where the homestead was.
But the homestead you said was over by Alliance.
Huh?
You said the homestead was over by Alliance.
Well, up in there, that's what I say, we took, go up there. We're up through North Platte, Oshkosh, and then out across the nowhere for a long ways.
But your grandfather had, did he have a homestead up by Valentine?
That,
When he died up there, was he a homesteader up there?
I don't know.
But you, Grandma never lived up by Your grandmother never lived up by Valentine when you were a kid, that you recall? How about the first airplane ride you ever took?
Well, I took that. First one I ever took was went up McCook, rode the airplane. It cost us $1 for an hour's trip around. Six passenger Ford plane made by Ford.
Was it one of those tri-motor things? The 3 engines on it?
Huh?
Was it one of those that had 3 engines on it?
No, I think it only had 2.
2. Ford used to make a tri-motor.
Huh?
They used to make one with 3 engines on it.
We thought that was a big one and hold 6 passengers.
Who was your favorite singer?
Got any favorites, singers?
Well, this may be years ago, if you had a favorite singer.
Roy Rogers, I guess.
How about your favorite TV star?
No favorites.
Or a favorite movie star?
Gene Autry.
And the best movie you ever saw?
Well, I don't have no idea. Probably Roy Rogers or Gene Autry. So.
How about the best book you ever read?
I never did read very many books.
Well, what of the ones you did, what one did you
I
like
don't
best?
remember what I read.
When was the sickest that you ever got?
The sickest I ever got, I guess, is when I had that pneumonia. And
That and when you were chewing Grandpa's chewing tobacco. That and when you were chewing Grandpa's chewing tobacco.
well, that was sick, yeah. That's when we heaved.
Okay, what kind of foods do you like best? Artichokes?
No,
Have you ever eaten artichokes?
no,
Apple pie?
no, I didn't. Mincemeat pie is my favorite pie. Homemade mincemeat.
Homemade mincemeat pie. How about tamales? Do you ever eat tamales?
No.
Or liver?
Huh?
Do you like liver?
Liver? Yeah.
Boiled cabbage?
Yeah, I like boiled cabbage.
You had some of that last night,
I
right?
had some,
With vinegar.
yeah, I had vinegar on it.
How about spinach?
Huh?
Do you like spinach?
Yeah, I like spinach.
Or watermelon?
Yeah.
Broccoli?
Broccoli, muskmelon.
Pickled pig's feet?
Yeah.
When was the last time you had pickled pig's feet?
God. I don't know.
Can you still buy those around here?
Yeah.
I get some of those and take them home. Can we buy pickled pig's feet at home?
Huh?
We never looked, have we? You ever eat snails? When you were a kid, what was your very favorite food?
Very favorite. Fried potatoes.
Fried potatoes. And when you were growing up, what was your favorite food?
Still fried potatoes.
And now, what's your favorite food?
Put it in anything that's cookable.
But if we could put out something for you to eat right now, what would you most like to have?
God, I don't know.
Mincemeat pie?
Huh?
Mincemeat pie?
Yeah, that'd be all right.
What's your favorite restaurant? What's the best restaurant you ever ate in?
Best one.
The very best restaurant you ever ate in.
Probably that one up, I don't know what the name of it is, up there in Omaha, that, where that great big cow is.
Is that the Stockyards Cafe?
No, it's Stockyard. I don't know what.
What was the best meal that you ever ate anywhere?
Best meal. God, I don't know what. Most any of them good.
What do you think is the worst problem in the world today?
Worst problem.
The worst problem in the world.
I would have no idea what's the worst one. There's a lot of them.
Well, which one do you think is the worst?
God, I don't know.
When you were a little boy, what did you want to do more than anything else?
What do I want to do?
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Didn't have no idea what I wanted to be.
When you got to be a little older, when you got to be a teenager, what did you want to be then?
Well, I wanted to go to work on the railroad, but I didn't make it.
You worked for the railroad for a while, though, didn't you?
On the grading gang, yeah, but I went one trip on, I was supposed to be on a local, but I went one trip for, out of Hastings to McCook on a freight train, scooping coal.
You were a fireman?
Yeah, but I got back to Hastings, I told him to heck with it.
You didn't like scooping coal on the...
Hell, that's all you done is, I was wore out. I got back, I stayed there with my uncle. I got back there, I never got out of bed for a day or two.
You couldn't just start out being a conductor or an engineer without working your way up?
That's what you had to start. What I wanted to do was get on the brakeman. But my cousin,
Did you have to start out as a fireman before you could be a brakeman?
no, that was the only opening there was. Was that her?
Yep, she's home.
I wanted to get on, my cousin got on as brakeman, but that's what I was wanting to get on to, but it didn't, there wasn't no openings.
If you could do it all over again, what one thing would you do different from what you did? Anything you would have done differently?
Huh?
Anything you would have done differently?
I'd have probably stayed single.
I knew that was a problem.
That's the same thing she said too, huh?
Well, you're consistent there.
Huh?
You're consistent there. What do you think is the one invention during your lifetime that has been more important than any other?
I what's more important.
Well, which one do you think is the most important?
I have no idea.
What would you like to see in the future?
See what?
What would you like to see happen in the future?
No idea.
I'm getting down to about the last questions here. What's the difference between a grandfather and a father?
What's the difference between the grandfather and the father?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the only difference is the grandfather can spoil the kids, and he don't have to send them. He can send them home, and he don't have to put up with them.
What's the best advice that you can give to your grandchildren and great-grandchildren?
Best advice is just stay single. And
But if everybody stayed single, we wouldn't have great-grandchildren.
well, that's
What's other than staying single, what would be your best advice to your grandchildren?
well, just stay out of trouble.
Isn't that what you said? Stay out of trouble. Be good. Do you remember any stories that your father or mother used to tell?
No.
What is the nicest thing that somebody ever did for you?
I have no idea.
What's the nicest thing you ever did for somebody else?
No, I ever done anything.
You never did anything for anybody else? I've seen you helping people.
Huh?
I've seen you help people all the time.
Yeah.
You helped me.
Huh?
You helped me. Well, that's all my questions. Do you got anything else you want to say?
No.
Nothing?
No.
This wasn't so painful, was it?
Huh?
This wasn't a very painful experience, was it? We're not even out of tape.
Huh?
We're not even out of tape. I thought our time was about spent. And with that, it starts to blink. We timed that pretty good. Well, as they say in Bugs Bunny, that's all, folks.